I have a document by National Development Planning Commission. Talks about Ghana at 100, 2057. Following the Indian example of India saying by 2047 will be developed. And their president was in Parliament a few months back, addressing the Parliament of Ghana. He made a profound statement that was lost on a number of people. He said by 2047, India will be a developed nation. That statement is reminding us of what the National Development Commission is saying, that by 2057, Ghana should be a developed nation. If that is the angle you are taking it from, and if you are truly care about the transformation of this nation, then you're going to look at all the gaps in various sectors and ask yourself, how can we meet that target of $50,000 GDP in 2057 as proposed by the National Development Planning Commission? We are about 3,000 now, after 60-something years. You have 31 years to go, and you want to be developed. You want to be $50,000 per capita. If that is your sense of urgency, you look at everything that is going on through a different prism, because you know that even if you enjoy all this stability for the next 10 years, but you do nothing about getting a growth rate of 9 to 10% for 20 consistent years to transform your economy, if that is not your focus, if you are not looking at the gaps in your education system and fixing the gap so that you can go the way of Deng Xiaoping of China, you can go the way of Nguyen of Vietnam, you can go the way of Shokozi. If you are not looking at that, then everything is nice. But if you are looking at that and say, we need a GDP of 50,000 per capita, and we are 3,000, the sense of urgency is different. You celebrate your successes now, but you are not happy. Because you know, about 45% of Ghanaians are literally in poverty. 20% of them below poverty line. Another 25%, in case they get sick, then they are poor. So when you are looking at the external development economics, a politician who are thinking about transformation, and you begin to look at that, you say to yourself, this is good, I'll celebrate, but we are nowhere close to transformation.
So if you thought that Dr. Yaw Adutwum is just technocratic education and might not be able to have a firm handle of your economy, please, let's begin to take our notes well and perhaps rewrite them. Now, Kwaku Kwarteng in Parliament has said before he wrote a statement, criticizing your government that the economy was being run like a Ponzi scheme, and we know how Ponzi schemes are. Back to the question I'm asking, is that the kind of economic management you are seeing, or you are seeing efforts, you are seeing plans that will sustain this economy in the prism or the paradigm that you just outlined?
You see, if you are looking at stabilizing firms, stabilizing the patient, we are good. But what I say, I don't understand why we cannot have a formula that makes us an upper middle income. And if you want that us to become upper middle income, you have to quickly look at all sectors of the economy and look at the gaps. You have to begin to look at, how do I create a middle class Ghana? If a teacher cannot buy a car, cannot afford a car, you don't have an economy that is being transformed. So this is not a political thing. It has been there for long. We really have to get a handle on how we use GeoAI, for example, to map the country to see where the mineral deposits are, so you don't come and get a prospecting license to go and find it. You come in, we already know where it is, and AI will allow us to do that. Right. So we know the value of resources that we have, and if we were to mine it, if we were to do more deep shaft mining, what resources will come? What I'm saying is this: we are nowhere close to transformation of our nation.
Nonetheless, is John Mahama doing well?
Oh yes, I mean, based on benchmarks we have set for ourselves over the years, if you are doing that comparison, yes. But what I'm saying is this: if we want to do the 50,000 per capita, If we want to be like Singapore,
Right.
if we want to do India,
Right.
there's a lot to be
Now,
done.
at the level at which you seem to see, a general sentiments of satisfaction with the economic management so far, however it's been done, organic or not, whatever the debate is, generally people are excited. Do you see that the NPP has any credible prospects in 2028?
I'll tell you
When
this.
you want to lead it into government?
If the argument is managing what exists, it's a different ballgame. If the argument is transforming this nation so that we can create jobs, we can set up IT hubs, we can go the way of India, we can begin to measure the gross national knowledge product, not just the gross national product, gross domestic knowledge product developed by Professor Umberto. That is how India is looking at their growth. They invest in education and they measure the impact of their investment for transformation. Indians have set up IT hubs. They have people working in India for major companies around the world. Through their IITs, Indians are controlling the world IT system and infrastructure. Graduates are getting jobs. Students who don't get accepted into IITs in India are the ones who accept to go to MIT. If you raise the bar up to that point, we have a lot of work to do.
And get
if
the
that is the
sense
argument,
that you are modeling your vision along the Asian countries, because so far that appears to be the references you're making.
recently, Rwanda is doing something. And they want to call themselves the Singapore of Africa. They are doing something. The economic growth rate.
The Singapore economy is knowledge-based. The Indian economy is also largely knowledge-based, not raw material.
They transitioned. India economy was not this. When they created the knowledge economy plan, then they began transforming. If you don't go down right, you heard of STEM.
But the comparison with India may not exactly work because of the population, the sheer size of that country.
That is where, if you leverage the Africa system that we've created, then you are in Ghana, but you have the whole African market to yourself. So you can begin to do what India has done, even though you have a smaller country. So the basic line, the bottom line is this. You can create this knowledge economy. And if you don't, I don't know how you are going to change Ghana. I don't know how. This raw material exports, we are not doing value addition. We're exporting the gold, but we don't have a gold street in Accra. In East Legon, there should be a gold street where jewelry, goldsmithery is taking place, and tourism. Tourists are going there to buy gold. We are adding value to our gold. We'll get about twice the value of what we are getting from gold and other raw materials. Then how do you boost that without the knowledge economy?
Tell us, what's this unique vision of yours that sets you apart from the four other contenders for the NPP Flagbearer, race?
You see, you can hear of many things in terms of how countries get transformed. But in this 21st century, no country has transformed without a robust education system that builds a knowledge economy that then brings about innovation. A nation where your best minds are in research and innovation and not medical science. The best students you have in the nation goes into research and innovation. You look at the United States of America and begin to ask yourself, was it America this way all this time? No. When the Sputnik was launched by the Russians, Americans panicked. They knew that they were in trouble. But where did they turn to? They turned to education. Marlan, who was a leader who wrote the Marlan Report, told Americans to identify their best minds, they are gifted and talented, and educate them in special schools. They gave a boost to gifted and talented education. Research shows that 6 to 10% of any population are born with special gifts, high IQs, special talents. They can sing, they can dance without being taught much. Americans, through Marlon, gave a boost to gifted and talented education. They set up the NASA. In high schools, people began to study aviation and aerospace. They began to do many, many courses that will set them apart and allow them to compete with the Russians. They did not start to build similar things like a Sputnik. No, they decided that we have to turn to our human resource. We know we have gifted and talented children, and therefore, we're going to give them quality education. Put them in classrooms where they are challenged to innovate. You go to American universities and there are honors programs for the best and the brightest. They are doing undergraduate, but they are doing research as if they are doing master's degree. They've identified the gifted. Singaporeans identified the gifted. These are people who are born with high IQs. They sit in our classrooms in Ghana and they are frustrated because they don't think like the teacher. They don't think like other students. They were born with it. You nurture them. You put them into engineering classes. You give them biomedical sciences in high school. They are coming out with innovation. And that is where you lay a strong foundation for the transformation of your country because you are tapping into all talents. So, my brother, the issue we have is this.
This is a philosophy Nkrumah has been talking about, that human resources, not natural resources, is what you need to focus on to develop your country. We have been dependent on cocoa, gold, and still see where we are. Singapore, a very small country, small population, well developed, almost like 80 to 90% of the population don't have a problem with accommodation. A very small land, and yet they've developed it so well. Their GDP 1,000 times,
of course,
more than ours, which is a big surprise. We're still talking about your unique selling proposition when we put you in the race of the 5.